It's a good presentation when there's so much to say, and I would love to monopolize Caleb's time if I had the opportunity, but of course I won't do that. Um, so your discussion mainly, I think, came down to 2 points as Matt summarized, and I'd like to attempt to address both of them if we have time, but if not, I understand. Regarding phenomenological conservatism, you're certainly correct, and I would say that the majority of people express some sort of experience or belief or affirmation of the supernatural. But the supernatural is a very broad grouping, and I think that grouping everything under the supernatural and then claiming that there is broad support for it can be a bit not reflective or maybe glosses over the individual differences there. So the supernatural experiences or beliefs of a Christian may differ highly from a Hindu or from other ancient cultures. Certainly, Japanese Ayakashi are very different than like American ghosts, are very different than Germanic elves and so forth. And all these creatures are very different. And just to put sort of a more concrete example, if I were to say, if people were to look at somebody's shirt and very quickly that person disappears, and four people were to say it's red, and six people were to say it's not red, we would be inclined to believe, based on that description, that the shirt is not red. The majority of people said it's not red. But if we then investigated that group of six people and we found out that each of the six said a different color, one person said blue, one person said yellow, one person said purple, it actually turns out that a plurality of them said red. And so when it comes down to naturalism versus supernaturalism, if you conveniently group everything under the supernatural label, yes, people are claiming by majority that something else is going on, but they seem to differ greatly in exactly what they're claiming is going on. And people who claim one thing don't affirm the claims of other groups. And I guess that's my point regarding that.
Yeah, I think that was my okay, my mic's working. Yeah, I think that's a fair point, and I was intentionally broad with that because getting to any particular definition of a god and something could be harder to nail that down. But I was really just defining in terms of supernatural agents, in terms of beings that are invisible or immaterial that have minds and personalities and motives and actions and stuff. That's kind of the broadest, I think, umbrella I was attributing. So that can include demons, angels, elves, whatever. Well, elves are physical, but you know what I mean. Gods, however you want to attribute that. In terms of religious difference, religious disagreement, that is probably the most common objection. And I didn't have time to get to that today, so I wanted to focus on the evolutionary aspect. But I'm hoping to write this in the future. A whole lot could be said on that. But I would say a couple of things. First, I think there's a difference between general revelation and special revelation. So this is just an argument for general revelation, not for, as I said, not for the truth of any particular religion. I know that you weren't saying it was. And so the idea that people disagree on what is God like or what are these beings and add in their own cultural elements to them is fine. I agree that those would be defeaters if we have contradict. It would be defeaters of those particular details if we have contradicting things. But I don't think that therefore it follows that the belief itself is inaccurate just because it has entailments that are inaccurate. For example, you probably remember a few years ago. Well, there's a couple different ones. Do you remember the dress that was people debated
Yes.
whether it was blue or yeah, or the Yanni Laurel thing where people had
Yes, both
it
of
is
those.
possible, yeah. So it is possible to have an objective reference and people to have different interpretations for whatever reasons. Another example I give is like imagine that you have someone born without taste buds. I'm sure there is a condition where it does that, and they look around, they say, "Well, you all are telling me that taste exists. I don't taste anything." And I look and I see people in India are way more likely to like spicy food, but people in England are way more likely to like I don't know what dry seafood or whatever.
Flavorless.
Uh, yeah, there you go. And so it's like if we're arguing that taste is an objective feature of biology, then why is there so much plurality in this? And it seems like where you're born determines what food you'll like. And it's like I think it's both and. Yes, there is certainly a lot of cultural aspects to it that's undeniable that influences. But we wouldn't say that there's not a genetic or biological component to taste buds. And so all I'm saying is I think that at best the plurality of religious experience would be a defeater for certain specifics of those claims. And I'm not a pluralist. I'm not defending all religions here. But I think that the core of that is what we're looking at. So we don't want to throw out the baby with the bathwater. So point is the stuff we do agree on, I think, implies that there's something there, even if I concede that, yes, on the secondary details, we can certainly disagree. And that's where I would argue, the other presentation I did on miracles, That's where I would appeal to in terms of I think God has come down and performed signs in particular vindication of these ideas, pointing, saying, guys, this is the correct belief. But that's a different presentation and a different argument. So, yeah.
Thank you for listening. If you found this helpful, please like and subscribe. Please also look at the show notes in order to find a link to our group so that you can join our next discussion. I look forward to chatting with you.